Regular meeting. Today is February 11th, 2016. Mr. Gamble, would you please call roll?
Yes, Mrs. Gator,
Here.
Mr. Freeman,
Here.
Mrs. Elba,
Here.
Miss Mitchell,
Here.
and Mrs. Muman.
Here. Would everybody please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Everyone, please be seated. All right, item 1.4. Mr. Jolly, do we have any changes to the agenda?
There's no changes to the agenda.
Do we have any other changes that we would like to have made to the agenda at this time?
Madam Chair, I would like to include on the agenda, after public participation, the resolution to censure member Michelle Elba.
Okay. Do we have any other any changes to the agenda?
No.
Okay, hearing none, may I have a motion, please, to accept the agenda with the motion to accept a resolution to censor member Michelle Elba?
Madam Chair, I move that we, as a board, add 1.8, the censure of the board member Michelle Elba, onto our agenda.
Second.
And we're also approving the agenda as is. We're approving the agenda as is with the addition of 1.8, correct?
Correct.
Okay. It's been properly moved and second. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, Mr. Gamble, please call the roll.
Mr. Freeman,
Yes.
Miss Mitchell,
Yes.
Mrs. Elba,
Yes.
Mrs. Muman,
Yes.
and Mrs. Gator.
Yes, motion passed 5-0. So at this time, we would like to welcome EMS Rams. They're going to do a presentation on a program that they are working on and hope to bring to the district. So please come forward.
Introduce yourself, please.
Thank you.
While they're getting everything together, I'd like to thank everybody again for coming out. The support that we get and that we seem to be getting on a regular basis is greatly appreciated. So please keep coming out. Let us know how we're doing, what you'd like to see more of, what you'd like to see less of. And we'll let Mr. Alexander go ahead.
All right. I would like to say thank you. Good evening to everybody here. I got a lot of more voice. I really don't need it. First and foremost, for those who don't know me, my name is Michael Alexander. I'm 1995. I'm born from the Tiger. I come from a family of Tigers. My family was amongst the wave of blacks who moved into the area in the 60s. With that being said, I didn't originally start off in Warriorstyle. I started off 116th Buckeye, and I used to come up here on the weekend. And back then, Warriorstyle was like heaven on earth to me. And one of the reasons being, down on 116th Buckeye, we didn't have adequate programming. Our version of programming was to cut out a milk crate and stay up on the pole out in the street and shoot basketball. We played street football. We didn't really have anything. I came here at the age of 9 and I was a mat cat. My aunt Ruby signed me up to be a junior wrestler. I started at the age of 9 years old and I wrestled for 6 years going up into high school. One of the things I noticed that when I came back to Cleveland, and especially Warriorstyle, is that the programs that used to exist for the kids as little as kindergarten really didn't exist anymore. And it wasn't a fault of anybody in particular. Sometimes it might just be funding. So with that being said, first and foremost, I would like to thank board members that were present going back a few years. We got new board members. And I would like to commend them for the focus that they have now, especially Lieutenant Jolly. I really believe in where he's taking the district. And I would like for anybody in here that's a teacher to let you know I appreciate you because you're on the front line. And I know that you got a hard road ahead of you. So I told Superintendent Jolly, the administration and the teachers can't do this by themselves. You don't see that in any other district where it's just the administrators and the teachers doing all the work. The community has to be involved. There has to be a grassroots effort and a business partnership with the district and the teachers to be able to get this job done. So with that being said, I went and found an organization that was willing to let me become a part of their organization and give me access to resources so I can bring them back here. So we can begin to offer some of the youth development that's needed here. And the two groups that I wanted to focus on was the 7th and 8th graders. Because it didn't seem like they had anything other than basic traditional sports. And even that has had bumps and bruises. So right now I want to introduce the founder and chairman of the EMS Rams, Mr. Hayward Cruz. He would like to share with you a quote he would share with his leadership group through the Michael White program down at CSU.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for having us. To all the constituents that are here today, just a little bit about the EMS Rams. Coming up in March of this year, it'll be our 14-year anniversary serving underserved communities in Cleveland, Cuyahoga County. I thought about this quote that I gave to my leadership class because I think it really speaks to grassroots efforts and what we have to do to continue to stay encouraged, to stay focused, because this type of work is not like a 9 to 5. When you're talking about restoration of communities, rebuilding communities, it's something that goes on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And our organization has seen over 7,000 kids over the years, and we have some great stories, and we have some not so great stories. But I stand before you to let you know that we've been very successful in building relationships throughout this county and this area. We're very excited about this opportunity working with the city of Warriorstyle. So I just wanted to share this quote with you, and it's mostly to if you guys are working in the grassroots area, something to encourage you, something to think about. And this is by Harriet Tubman, and it goes like this. Every great dreamer begins with a dreamer. Always remember that you have within you the strength, the patience, and the passion to reach for the stars to change the world. And I just wanted to encourage everyone in this room and appreciate everyone for all your hard work in the city of Warrensville, and thank you for having us today.
So prior to today, I actually tried to debut Warriorstyle games before, and it really wasn't ready. So it was definitely in the sky that I didn't get the approval in other areas to do this. But I always wanted to debut this here in Warrensville before I took it anywhere else. So we have other partnerships coming up with other school districts down the road, community centers, and so forth. But I want Warrensville to be home for Warriorstyle games. So to go through what Warriorstyle games is, I want to introduce you to our Health and Wellness Director, Gina King, and our Education Coordinator, Lauren Harrison.
Short. Well, good evening to everyone, and we are so grateful to have the opportunity to present this to you. We're here to talk a little bit about what the Warriorstyle games entail. So the biggest thing that we want to combat is some of the biggest risk issues that our youth face right now. So the statistics behind me are very shocking, but they're very real. So on a national scale, we're talking about our black males in particular, 59% of them do not graduate high school. Looking at the local environment, 53%. So we're very on par with an entire nation, just in our community alone. And if that doesn't bring to mind how shocking that is, how real that is, then we look down into physical activity. 7th and 8th graders, they get less than 51% in most cases of physical activity in their daily lives. I mean, the prevalence of technology alone kind of gives you an idea. This is all you see all day long. And then last but not least, positive participation in after-school programs. Unfortunately, it's not like when I was growing up. I'm 28. There was quite a bit when I was growing up. I was able to take participation in ballet and gymnastics and things like that. But those kind of programs are not as prevalent, especially in underserved communities like this. And mental health suffering from depression and other forms of mental health, 7th to 8th graders have a 21% risk factor. So there's a lot that we can do to combat this, but this just kind of gives you an idea of what life is really like for these kids right now. So the local environment, I want to kind of pass the torch over to Ms. Lauren, and she's going to touch a little bit on how the opportunities that are here already are not quite what we need to provide for our youth. So, Ms. Lauren?
All right, so when we think about doing youth development programming, we have to look at what the need is. So we have to assess what are we doing in Warrensville right now. So where can kids go? Where can they do after school? We can child care centers, we can youth development programs, and the athletic squad. So child care centers, we have a few here in Warrensville. We have the YMCA, but that is limited in their program scope. And then, of course, the number of kids they can accept in those programs. There's the Boys and Girls Club, and there is location for that is on Broadway. So there's nothing in this community right now. Athletic teams, we've got schools, so if you try out and make it, okay, we got that. YMCA, we can get their athletic programs for K through 6th graders. AAU, we have that for boys and then youth football. So there's a few things, but they don't encompass all that we are trying to do for the game. But there are complications and problems with those as well. As you vouchers, registration fees, kids age out of child care at 12 years old. Some of those programs are skill-based. So if you can't play basketball or play football, what can you do? You know, location, Boys and Girls Club, too far. Kids got to go on public transportation, and your mom is out off work yet, you can't get to the program. So we need to go to transportation education for the parents. So we want to make sure that we have something that is in the city that encompasses both academic and athletic, and then supporting kids more than just a child care center.
So what is the Warriorstyle game? The whole purpose is twofold. It's to improve the physical activity levels that our kids are getting, and also to work on some behavioral issues. The research has shown that when you can get a kid up and moving, there's a whole self-efficacy that builds within them. So we're hoping to combat that with non-traditional methods, because the traditional ways obviously aren't the way to solve the problem. So there's 2 phases to our Warriorstyle games. There's a spring and a summer and a fall. So we are year-round to keep them engaged, always to keep them out of other activities that would otherwise take their attention. Our target audience, like we talked about, was 7th and 8th graders, particularly because these are their most formative years at that time. They're right on the cusp of kind of reaching that almost to be an adult, but they're now above that level of needing to be handheld. We're also looking at working with our high school students to make them youth mentors, so to empower them to know that their impact is just as powerful on the kids coming up underneath them. So they'll be here to build up community service hours, and colleges are always looking for that. And it also allows us to be able to work with them on a level of adults to show them that they can also handle the same responsibilities we can. We can trust them with those responsibilities. Our pilot goal is 60 to 100 students here in the school year.
How does this program look different than other programs that might be available? So we're going to be doing stuff that is non-traditional sports based. So we're going to get the kids active, but we don't have to say you've got to be able to shoot a basketball, make a three-pointer, run a football. We're not going that level. We want to get kids active, but don't want to put that pressure in. If you're not a good basketball or football player, then you can't participate. We want to establish positive habits and build knowledge of self and community. We want to involve them in the development process. So we don't want to just tell them what they should do. We want to talk with them and involve them on the creation of the program so that we can see what is it that you guys want to do and how can we accomplish that. And then of course we're going to be providing more opportunities for visitors and this is for the game. So it might sound a little weird, but we want to expose kids to areas outside of their comfort zone. A lot of kids don't live one day. Don't go visit another city, don't know where there is to offer right here in the city of Cleveland. So we want to provide that with our activities and make sure that they can witness things that are in the city that they might not know exist. programs, STEAM activities, so that's science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. We're going to do creative writing workshops. So we actually want to bring in people to show kids what there is in terms of creative writing, spoken word. We want kids to be able to express themselves, especially when the schools are not able to reach those goals because of those limitations. We're going to offer food. We're going to be doing the Healthy Kids Food Program. And we're going to be doing career development opportunities via our mentoring program. How does the community benefit?
Oh, thank you. That's your area of expertise.
All right, so this is not just something to help the school district. This is not just something to help the children. We want to make sure that Warrensville as a community can be good and thrive off of this as well. So we're going to be providing community service opportunities in the city, so that way our kids learn to give back. We're going to be doing leadership development, so if there are people in the city that want to work on gaining those skills necessary to be excellent leaders, this would be an excellent start to that. We're going to be doing intergenerational connections and networking. That's big for me. We need to expand this gap that we have. It's not a young versus old. We need to work all together to make sure that we are whole as a community. So we want to bring in everybody in us so that the kids understand that we have the past that helps us, and then that the older active adults in our community can see what the future can hold for us as well. And then we also have the municipality collaboration, especially with Ohio House District 12 and their neighborhoods. And we're branching off into East Cleveland and the Woodland Workout area as well. So we want to make sure that we're expanding everything.
So then the question becomes, yes, this sounds wonderful, but how are we going to be accountable for it? How are we going to know whether all these non-traditional kind of off-the-wall programs are really benefiting? The two things that we're going to measure, physical fitness-wise, is with our Warriorstyle Calisthenics Challenge, the program that Michael developed that is going to take some basic fitness elements that will help us get an idea of just how much our kids are improving. Are they really coming to these activities and getting benefits? We're also looking at the federal scale of the Presidential Youth Fitness Program, and we're going to use both of these programs, both pre and post, before and after each youth season. Academically, we're going to be talking about quarterly grades and standardized testing. So I'm going to have one on that. That's great.
We're going to be connected in partnership with the school. We're going to use those numbers just to make sure our kids are on track academically. And then back to the stats that we had before with kids suffering from depression, and those are numbers that we have available. We never know what kids are going through. So we want to make sure that they're good and whole. So we're going to be testing their self-efficacy. So just a way to say, okay, how do they feel? Do they set goals? Do they feel good about themselves? Kids who feel good about themselves is better in school, in their relationships. If you feel bad today, do you really want to go to work and do that? No. Keep talking. That's not what we do. When you feel good, you set those goals that is good from the person. So we're going to test those using two scales that I have found. They have been tested in the early library. We also want to be more independent, not only in just the program, but in school as well, and behavior improvement both in the program and in school.
So partnership needs, now the question transfers into what are we coming to you for today? Why are we even presenting this to the city of Warrensville? The nice part is we're not asking for any kind of financial handout. We want to be able to do these programs too well because we see a value in the need. So all we need is space to be able to hold the program so that we can really benefit the kids that we're serving. We also are asking for access to the student body. I mean, these are the ones that are really going to be the ones that take over the country. Let's face it, everybody gets older every minute of every day. We have a limited set time. But if we can leave this world in the hands of somebody we know we can trust, imagine what it will do for them and for us. And then we're also asking for academic information on participating students. So outside of the classroom, the literacy program, the health education program, all of these skills transferring from one department, one area to another. Financially, all of the students all youth in the city of Warrensville are going to be able to participate in this program at no cost. And we're also going to be reaching out to the community as a whole to form a steering committee. We don't want to be dictated. This is a partnership. This is a collaboration. And we need all of you to stand in with us to lead this way. So this is the time when we want to open the floor to any questions or comments or concerns you have about the program, about us.
Okay. If you guys want to come on in and have a seat, come on in and have a seat. Do we have any questions from any of the board members about the program?
Yeah, I have one.
Sure.
My biggest thing is for our young black males. And do you have counselors in place? I'm looking at self-esteem for our young black male. You find that more in boys than you do in girls?
Actually, the Warriorstyle game program is initially designed for young men,
Okay.
young boys. And I'm saying that as someone who was being raised in a single mother household. When I got to 8th grade, that was my trouble year. I had male role models around, but they weren't always engaged with me. So we have men that are on our staff who will be engaged with the youth at all times. And I think that's one of the things that gives us a great leverage point in dealing with this program is our engagement. It's easy to send a child to daycare or any of the other programs around here. Most of the time, the staff just kind of throw them out on the court or let them go sit somewhere, and they're not really engaging them. So we plan to really engage them and work on being able to build up their self-esteem and their confidence level. We will work with girls. Actually, we're hoping to partner with another alum here who has a program specifically for young girls. So we're not discriminating and saying we won't do anything with the young girls, but it just seems like there's a hole when it comes to dealing with young black boys. Because if you look at the statistics, young black boys seem to be on the bottom of everything. Graduation rates, everything. So this is what this was designed for initially, was for young black boys.
Okay. How many staff members do you have?
Currently, our core staff is about 15.
15?
But we do have partnerships with local colleges and vocational schools, so we'll be bringing in college students as interns.
Okay.
And we'll be using community members as volunteers to work with the youth, specifically seniors, because Warrensville has a high senior population, so we want to create that intergenerational connection.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question for you, Mr. Alexander. As far as the program itself, is it summer program, year-round program? What kind of time frame on program?
Mainly, we focus on, let's say we were starting this at the beginning of the school year.
Okay.
It would go from the beginning of the school year in September up until the end of December. They would go on break for January and February. They would gear up with, we call it the training, like all-season training in March. Then the program kicks off for spring and summer in April. Now, with us asking for access to space, mainly the rec, because we have a partnership with the library, so we'll be using this space too. Obviously, during the summer, you're not open, so we don't expect to have access to anything other than the rec. So we already have connections to let the kids be outside during that time frame. So it's mainly year-round with those 2 months off, which is the coldest months of the year.
And your ideal scholar, what age group are you focusing on?
Mainly starting off 7th, 8th grade,
Okay.
but we want to involve junior and senior high school students as youth mentors, because we want to create that bond between the high school student and the middle school student. Because when we were coming up here, we looked up to the high school students, and whatever you seen them doing, that's what we wanted to do. But we want that to be a positive.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Alexander, I have a question. You talked about academics. How are you aligning your academic programming to the academics that are in school? Because you said you would be looking for the school to share academic information. So how are you looking to make that happen?
When we say looking for access to academic information, we want to be able to go to a teacher and ask, for this particular participant, what are his grades this quarter? And have access to that information. But I think the beautiful part about this program being piloted here, and I'm an alum myself, is that I want to be able to have a symbiotic relationship between this organization and the district as a whole. That's why we wanted to partner, versus we could have ran the program on our own as a nonprofit here in the city limits, but why do that when it seems like we have a history of not working together? And so we have to start forming these core networking connections, and so that's why we're asking to go back and forth. So we should be able to bring the data that we collect and say, hey, this is what we're seeing in the guys that's participating in the program, And then the teacher should be able to come back to us and say, hey, we're struggling with such and such. Can you, let's say little Johnny is struggling in somewhere in his reading. We have a literacy program where we'll get to put him in there and give him undivided attention so we can increase that.
If I might add, since I'll be doing the educational curriculum program, I've done this programming with the Y as well. So connecting to the school district, connecting with the school, understanding where they are academically, it will correlate to the curriculum that we're doing. So we're not going to be talking about topics that they have not reached yet in school. We want to make sure we reinforce those topics that they might be struggling with, to make sure that they continue to get the help that they need to do tutoring as well later on to make sure that they're on track.
Yeah, Member Elba, did you have any questions?
Not at this time.
No?
I need to do some more research.
So let me just kind of paint the picture for me. Walk me through a day. I'm Johnny Smith, and I'm coming to your program. What can I expect from the moment that I walk in the door to the end of the day? What are you guys going to do for me?
Once the student signs up or registers, Monday would be hypothetically health and wellness education. So we split the kids up into groups. 1 hour they come in, they do their health and wellness. Every class during the week, they do at least 15 to 20 minutes of physical activity to start the class, even if the class is designed for them to be learning something, regardless if it's AB, information, or whatever. So Monday would be health and wellness education. Wednesday would be literacy or creative writing, and then Friday would be the actual life skills mentorship. And then on Saturday is competition time. So that's how we design it. We design Warriorstyle games to be a catch game. I'm pretty sure there's a bunch of parents in here, so how many of you have ever tried to feed your child vegetables and you know they need them because they're vitamins and minerals? The kid's like, I don't like broccoli. I don't like cauliflower. If you put some cheese on it, you're going to eat it hungry. Well, that's what Warriorstyle games is. When we promote it to the kids, they see the cheese first. But once they get in, that's when they get the vegetables. So a week, the 3 days out of the week is educational, and then on Saturday they get to play.
All right. And I know you had discussed something about the different municipalities that you're working with. Are you presently working with those municipalities, or those are areas that you hope to branch out to, like Bedford, Oakwood?
Actually, I put them on. I know Hayward probably wouldn't like to hear that, but I put them on hold.
Okay.
The only other place that I definitely gave it okay was Woodland Homes.
Okay.
And the other one, we have a partnership coming up with Goodrich Gannick, which is down on 55th.
Okay.
And that's our home, Ward 7. We have a few schools that are lined up, and I told them we would get back to them, and it was based on us being able to do this presentation tonight.
Okay. And then I have one final question. I know that you mentioned utilizing the rec center, and this would happen during the summer. And actually, this is probably more so something for you to think about logistically, because I know that Coach Swift typically will do something with our scholars during the summer. So I just want to make sure that that's not going to conflict with any summer programs that we already have established. And if I'm not mistaken, I think at this point, you guys are pitching your presentation. We're not voting on it. So just like Member Elba said, that she wants to do some research, we'll probably have some more questions. I think it's exciting, the opportunity for our young men to, do something other than the typical sports that not like you said, not everybody can do basketball, football. So I think that the opportunity is definitely there, and I think it's a great opportunity for the kids. But again, we'll yield to Mr. Jolly and any other questions that might be addressed from the board members. So we thank you very much for coming out, though. It's a great presentation.
Thank you for State Representative John Barnes coming in and here. Actually, I had a meeting with him, and when we heard about the concept of having a chance to really work with the youth here, he was excited, and he wanted a chance to come out and participate in our board meeting tonight. So I just wanted to say thank you for coming out and spending time with us.
Stand up, State Representative John Barnes, so everybody can see who you are. Thank you for coming out. All right. right. So again, we thank you for your presentation. Good job. All right. And before I continue, I should have said this at the beginning. For those of you that don't know, I think we've had it on our website, right? This is a historic moment for us, I guess you could say, because we are live streaming all of our Board of Education meetings on our website. So that starts tonight. So if you didn't get your hair done and all that other stuff, so no, that is exciting for us. We want to reach more people. We want more people to see the great things that are going on in our district, and we figured this is another avenue for us. So we appreciate you coming here, but on those days when it's snowing and you can't get here, you can go home and look at it on your computer from our website. So just wanted to put that out there as well. 1.6 is superintendent's updates. So I'd like to give the floor to our Superintendent Jolly.
Welcome. I just have about 3 updates. I just wanted to announce to the community that tomorrow, 8 scholars will accompany me and Councilwoman Mitchell to Flint, Michigan to deliver 280 cases of water to the citizens of Flint, Michigan. I want to commend the community and the high school, in all the schools. Eastwood gave 45 cases of water. John Dewey, I believe, gave 27 cases of water. And it was just a real community contribution. So tomorrow we'll be delivering the water. We'll leave at 6 a.m. and we'll return hopefully before it's dark outside. Also, another announcement is that I was contacted today from the Colga County Library. They are bringing United States Senator Cory Booker to Cleveland, and they want him to come to our high school on March 22nd. So we will coordinate with Principal McDowell to have U.S. Senator Cory Booker here at Warrensville High School. Also, our high school has been selected to be part of the Chick-fil-A Leader Academy. Owner Garrick Doss is sponsoring our high school for 30 students to participate in a leadership academy. And also, I'd like to give kudos to our cheerleaders who will be participating in the state championship of cheerleading. Which will be on March 5th. We will put the information on the website as we get it, but good job, Coach. And we are very proud of you and your work that you're doing. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Coach Nikki, stand up so everybody can see you. For those of you that don't know, Coach Nicole Hagebrook, she has done a phenomenal job with our cheerleaders. If you have never seen our cheerleaders do their thing, I'm telling you, they do their thing. We've got excellent cheerleaders. So I'm going down to state to cheer you guys on. So,
Coach Nikki, can you just tell us when is the Black History Program?
It's March 8th during school, and then March 10th will be the community day.
Okay. Do you have a title for it yet, or?
The Black Experience.
Okay, thank you.
very good. All right. Thank you very much for your superintendent updates. 1.7 is public participation, and I believe we do have a card.
Yes, we do, Mr. John Jackson.
All right, come on down, Mr. Jackson. So just so everybody understands, public participation is the opportunity for our community members to address the board. We give you 3 minutes, and if we are able to give you a response tonight, we will. But come on down, sir, and we would love to hear what you have to say.
I'm going to invert my order. I want to go to a second subject when I get to the first one. I'd like to know, has the board addressed the issues that were brought up previously with
Oh, hold on one second, sir. I'd like for you to state your name, address, and then come on down, please, so we can.
My name is John Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
Was on the project process. I went through the schools for them a while back. And the same thing that I saw there, same thing that you took, the previous board took permission to Dexo to go through and help with the operation. None of the things that the Dexo has recommended have been implemented. And the same thing that the Dexo charged me thousands of dollars to do, I had presented to the previous superintendent before she left. and they didn't want to address then. I want to bring these out to your attention so that you can't, no one can say we didn't know about this. I'm sure you have seen it before. I'm sure. But I was in one school where a security guard left the premises, propped the door open, came back 35 minutes later. They heard I was in the building and came from to find me. I noticed a student kick another student in the stomach. And the teacher there says, before she saw me, should I report this? Or just she's all right. She looked up and saw me, we better report this. I saw one person try to sign out another person, so they saw me standing in the back of the room. They called us after as the employees, you better come to work because I can't sign you out. I saw equipment that you don't have inventory for. You have no idea what you own, where it's located, who has it, what the purpose of what condition it's in. You have no idea what's in for repair, if it's never going to be repaired, where it's located, who broke it, why is it broken, what's being done about it. All that's still there on the Sodexo report. My information I gave to two superintendents. Also, I noticed that you allowed a person to work who was unable to work. They couldn't dress properly to do the job. They would be fired, and the person who allowed them to be, I called, we deal with HACCP, the OSHA. You are dealing with the public employees. I called both Mr. Eli. They're the same. Same thing I'm saying that we saw when you put like in campus, not being adhered to. Storage facilities being improperly done for convenience. What has anybody done for that? I saw one security officer, not here, a custodian, chastise a student, a girl, with the teacher in the presence and gave her permission to do what she was doing. Why, I saw that a couple of times, not still circumstances. Why are non-teaching personnel acting in authority over the young girls? I witnessed at the high school, they fraternized with the girls.
I'm sorry, they
Fraternized.
Okay.
I don't want to go too deep, tease with them. But he never said a word to the boys.
I,
What I'm saying is, you got to say, you know, and you never said anything about it, if something comes up, you knew.
okay. I do have one question for you, and we appreciate your comments. How long ago was this? Was this recently that you were in the buildings and witnessed this?
No, it wasn't. Reason, I'm just telling you now, I was told, don't say anything now, because we got a white business manager. We want him out because he's taking contact from some black people. Wait till we get a new business manager. That's what I was told.
So this was a while ago, though?
Before the semester started.
Okay, all right.
But
Well,
you was on the board, you knew, you were here. But the point is, I was told these things, and I told them this, he would get in trouble. We already paid many suits, civil suits, for the same type of stuff.
okay. All right, well, we'll,
Do the same thing continuously.
well, thank you, sir. We'll have to look into this Sodexo report, and see if,
And you can ask the previous superintendent of the interim and the woman before her. Sat down with both of them.
Okay.
And the business manager.
okay. Thank you, sir, for your comments. Thank you. Do we have any other cards?
We do not.
No, we do not. Okay. Thank you. So we are going on to this is our amended item. We are going on to item 1.8. Is that correct? Item 1.8 is an item that we are adding to the agenda, and this is the resolution to censor member Michelle Elba. May I have a motion, please, to accept a recommendation and a resolution to censor member Elba?
Madam Chair, I move that this board move for the censure of board member Michelle Elba.
All right, we do have a resolution. May I ask someone to please read the resolution?
Madam Chair, I will read the resolution. I move for the adoption of the following resolution, whereas board member Michelle Elba recent conduct and statements have reflected poorly upon the board and violated board policy and the rules of decorum, and whereas because her conduct interferes with With the board mission to serve our community and educate our children, the board desires to publicly censure Michelle Elba based on such misconduct. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Education of the Warrensville Heights City School District, Warrensville Heights, Ohio, that Section 1, the board hereby publicly censures and reprimands Ms. Elba for directing the Warrensville Education Association president to file a grievance over a recent personal hiring decision recommended by the superintendent and approved by the board on January 28, 2016. This conduct violates board bylaws 0123 and 0148. I am board policy 1210, and the board hereby denounces and repudiates such misconduct. Section 2, the board hereby publicly censors and reprimands Ms. Elba for intimidating and continuing an abuse, unprofessional, and completely inappropriate verbal attack on the board president in the presence of other board members, district employees, and community members at the end of the board meeting on January 28, 2016. This conduct violates board bylaws 0123, and the board hereby denounces and repudiates such misconduct. Section 3, the board hereby publicly censures and reprimands Ms. Elba for using the influence of her position, acting in a bullying and intimidating manner, and providing false and misleading information regarding her daughter's participation in indoor track at the district, despite clear and ambiguous communication on October 25, 2015, that Villa Angela St. Joe has an indoor track available for her participation. This conduct violates board bylaws 01412, and the board hereby denounces and repudiates such misconduct. Section 4, the board hereby publicly censures and reprimands Ms. Elba for using her position as a newly elected board member to intimidate, harass the athletic director by threatening him regarding the cost of the participation in indoor track at the district. This conduct violates board bylaws 0148.1 and board policy 1210, and the board hereby denounces and repudiates such misconduct. Section 5, the board hereby publicly censures and reprimands Ms. Elba for attempting to establish an unauthorized committee and refusing to recognize the authority of the board president to appoint a committee chair for the board policy committee and refusing to recognize the appointment of the superintendent as an appropriate committee chair and public comments that undermine the authority of the superintendent. This conduct violates board bylaws 0155 and 0170 and board policy 1210, and the board hereby denounces and repudiates such misconduct. Section 6, as a result of this public censure, the board hereby moves Ms. Elba from any board committee to which she was assigned for the 2016 calendar year. Section 7, it is found and determined that all formal actions of this board concerning and relating to the adoption of this resolution were adopted in an open meeting of this board, and that all deliberations of this board and any of its committees that resulted in this formal actions were in meetings open to the public in compliance with the law.
Thank you. You're welcome. May I have a second, please, for this reading of this resolution?
I second it.
So moved. Any questions or comments?
Oh, I'll have a comment. Just to let you know, please make sure that your facts on this resolution are accurate, since it's going to become public record as soon as the vote is final. Okay? Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions or comments? Okay, so let me just take a minute to explain for those of you that aren't sure exactly what this is. So censure is a sanctioned reprimand for board members. The act alone does not remove Ms. Elba from her office, nor is that our intent. It is our intent to publicly state that we don't approve of her actions. In theory, our job as board members, as elected officials, is to establish board practices along with Superintendent Jolly and Treasurer Gamble that's going to pave the way for a successful journey on our return to excellence. We cannot allow anything or anyone to get in our way. That's why we find ourselves in this unfortunate situation and being forced to reprimand a board member whose recent and ongoing actions go against our code of ethics and derail our intentions of focusing on students and education. It's been a difficult decision because censure is not something that we take lightly. However, it is essential for the success of us as a board and as a district and as a community to ensure that our focus remains clear, our mission is achieved, and our goals are continually being met and measured. So that being said, I'd like to ask for roll call.
One more thing. Mr. Gamble, please make sure that this resolution, along with all comments, are in the agenda. Okay? I mean,
In the minutes?
In the minutes.
Yes,
Yes.
it will be.
Thank you. All comments and this.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Gamble, please call the roll. Hearing no other comments.
Mr. Freeman,
Yes.
Ms. Mitchell,
Yes.
Mrs. Elba,
No.
Mrs. Mewman,
Yes.
Mrs. Gator.
Yes, motion passed 4-1. All right, moving right along. Item 2 is our treasurer's report and financial recommendations. So let me back up. This is a informational meeting. So what that means is we typically do not vote on items at the informational meeting. However, there are times, depending on the needs of the district, we will need to take votes. We do have a few items that we're going to need to vote on today. So we will probably go through some of these agenda items relatively quickly. I'll ask the board members if they'd like to have any discussion on any of the items. But this is your opportunity, board members, to ask questions to make sure that you know what you're voting on for the next meeting. So we're going to go to item 2, treasurer's report and financial recommendations. Mr. Gamble, is there anything that you would like to share with the board?
No, other than, this is our standard reconciliation. It's a list of the receipts for the month, fund balances, and also expenditures that were paid during the month of December. I've been in contact with the auditors. Our audit is complete. I think we'll be pleased with the results. We're going to have 3 comments, and the 3 comments are going to relate to depreciation of assets. So as soon as that report is put together and the management letter, which will include the 3 items I mentioned about depreciation of assets, it'll be distributed to all board members, and then I think we'll have our first committee where we can go over that report. But overall, it'll be another, good audit for us for fiscal year 15. So looking forward to that.
Okay.
And one other thing, we are conducting an audit right now with our health consortium. We're checking to make sure that dependents should be on certain policies. If they're not, they will be removed, which will be a savings of money. And also our spousal clause we have in both contracts, making sure that anybody that has a working spouse has them as the primary, and they're the secondary on our insurance. So this audit is being conducted and paid for by the Suburban Health Consortium, and we're in phase 2 of that. So hopefully that'll be a cost savings for the district to make sure that we clean up some of these possibly spouses or dependents that should not be carried on the insurance policy of the district at this time. So I'll update you when that audit is completed.
Any idea how long for the audit before they're finished with it?
Well, we're in the second phase of it. We've done the dependent part, and now we are into the working spouse part of the audit, so could take a month or two.
Okay, all right, so before the end of the school year, though?
Yes. Yes.
It generally takes how long? A month, 2 months to do a complete audit?
Well, it takes a while because we have to send out these forms to people. They have to gather material to prove, in a case of a dependent or a spouse, let's say a marriage license, for example, and they have to get this material to the company. The company has to go through this material. They have questions, they have to go back to the people. So it's a lengthy process.
Oh, so whose responsibility is to get that information to the company? Whose responsibility is that?
Each employee
Each employee. And
who has either a spouse or a dependent on their coverage. And again, this is something that every school district in the Suburban Health Consortium is doing, and it's a cost-saving measure for everybody.
Okay.
Are they randomly selecting employees, or is, excuse me, it's 100%, all employees are being reviewed?
No, it's employees that have
Spouses and...
spouses and dependents on their
Gotcha,
coverage.
okay, all right, so we look forward to the end of the
In other words,
the audit.
if you're single and you have single coverage and you have nobody else, then no,
good.
you're not
You're
getting
good.
anything.
Okay, all right, thank you, Mr. Gamble.
Okay, thank you.
So, item 3, superintendent's recommendations and presentation for board action administrative staff. Do we have any questions, board members, about the individuals that are listed for supplemental coaching? Again, we'll be voting on this at the next meeting. All right, we can move right along then to item 4. Oh, I said that wrong. Oh, 4.2, I apologize, yeah. No, I was looking at that wrong. So 4.2, we do need a vote on this one. The 4.2 is employment of extended day teachers for Eastwood Elementary third grade reading blast, and I'll let Mr. Jolly
Yes.
kind of give us a...
Yes, currently we have 34 students who have not met the third grade guarantee. This is an urgent program that we want to implement to ensure that all third graders meet the requirements to pass to the fourth grade. We have 2 teachers who are very skilled. Their data reflects they're moving kids at tremendous levels, and those are the 2 teachers who have been selected to lead this process. So we have 34. We also have Horizon that will tutor 9 additional students. So those 2 would do 25, and then Horizon would do the other 9.
Okay, all right, so at this time, hold on 1 minute, hold on 1 minute. Hold on, just 1 minute, because what I'd need to do is go ahead and put a motion on the table, and then we'll go around and do a discussion. So let me just ask someone, I'd like to ask for a motion for item 4.2, employment extended day teachers, Eastwood Elementary, third grade reading blast.
Madam Chair, I move that this board move for 4.2, employment extended day teachers, Eastwood Elementary third grade reading blast.
And may I have a second? Okay, it's been properly moved and second. Now, I'm sorry, Ms. Movement. At this time, I'd like to give the board members the opportunity to ask questions, comments. So go ahead, you have the floor.
Okay, I was looking at 34 students, 2 teachers. How long? Is it from 4 to 6, 4 to 5?
4 to 5. It'll begin on February 23rd and go all the way to April 7th
Okay.
when testing begins.
And how often are they going to measure the progress?
I think we'll be measuring it throughout the tutoring.
Okay.
They'll be using a program called Reading A to Z. That would be one of the resources used.
And 9 of the students going to Horizon?
Yes.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Okay, hearing none. Mr. Campbell, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Freeman,
Yes.
Ms. Mitchell,
Yes.
Mrs. Muman,
Yes.
Mrs. Elba,
Yes.
and Mrs. Gator.
Yes, motion passed 5-0. And I'd like to thank both Ms. Boyd and Ms. Boynton for stepping up. That this is, they're regular teachers, Monday through Friday. They're there all day long, and then they're taking on additional work to make sure that our scholars are, excelling. So we want to thank you for taking on the additional work. Item 5, superintendent's recommendations and presentations for board action classified staff. We don't have any items in this section that need to be voted on, but I'd like to give the board members the opportunity to ask questions on any of the items. Does anyone have any questions or comments on any of the items?
Madam Chair, I do. On 5.3, and I don't know if you can handle that question, Mr. Jolly, but employment substitute secretary, where is that for?
It's to build our pool when people are out so that we have adequate coverage. This person will not work every day. It's just as needed basis. But it's just to have a pool so that if we need people, we'll be able to cover. But there's no guarantee they'll work. It's just in case we need people when people are out.
Okay, thank you.
Is she related to anybody?
No,
Is she an alumni?
no. I think I sent that. She's not. Ms. Ridgway is an alumni of Warrensville, though. And I did send that in the board note.
He said 5.3.
Well, I wanted to say 5.3 is not an alumni or relative of anybody in the district. 5.2 is an alumni of Warrensville.
And just so the audience understands, we do have a board policy that says it's okay for us to hire relatives. I want to put that out there. We're not, there's no nepotism. And there's also a policy that states that, if you are a relative and you're going to participate, they have to be supervised by someone other than their relative. So, good questions, but we do have a policy that addresses it, so.
I need to say something.
Yes, ma'am.
I asked the question about relatives and alumni because the district has a history of hiring inexperienced relatives and alumni who could normally never be employed in the district. And then all of a sudden, that I've observed since last August, there's a lot of it. So that's my reasoning for asking, if anyone else is interested. Because if we're going to hire people, we need to be hiring experience. We're constantly preaching about our children, but hiring family and friends, that's not helping anyone's child. If you couldn't get in last year into the district, and then you got in this year, how is that benefiting the child? That's why I ask.
So let me just counter that really quick, because we do have an HR department that does a thorough job of vetting our employees. I would like to think that we are not going to hire somebody that's not qualified for a position. And if that is happening, then Mr. Jolly needs to have a discussion with his HR department. But we do practice hiring the most highly qualified person, regardless of whether they are an employee or an alumni, whatever the situation is. So that is my take, that's my expectation. And if we find out something different, then we do need to address that. Yes.
I strongly believe that we are all here because we are concerned with the best interests of our children. That's the key. I do not believe that Mr. Jolly or Ms. Hunt would hire anybody that is not going to be in the best interest of our children. That's how I look at it. What happened in the past, we're going to leave it in the past. Mr. Jolly is trying to bring qualified, experienced people into the district, and he's doing an excellent job at doing that. I haven't seen a teacher so far that I'm not happy with, because I've seen teachers go above and beyond for our children, and that's what we want. It doesn't necessarily mean it could be Ray's first cousin. What that has to do with
You ain't gonna get hired. I'm not hiring my first.
It could be your first cousin. Point is, what does that have to do with the
Not
man
hiring
or the
them.
woman doing his job or her
No,
job?
sir.
You know, that's where I'm at. I'm not into, I don't mind relative, I don't get into that, guys. I just want what is in the best interest of our children. I want to see our children be successful. That's my goal, that's my vision.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any other questions or comments on superintendent's recommendations and presentations for board action classified staff?
I have one comment, not a question, but one thing in talking to Michael Alexander, and Michelle's an alumni, I'm alumni Tracy, you want the bright and the best come back. I mean, I'm a product of this city, so I'm back. The mayor graduated, we're back. And we learned that a long time ago. So what we have here, and I know nepotism, and I hear it, Board Member Elba, but we want the brightest to come back. And if it's our own, yeah, we put a little star on it, but we want our best, that these teachers teach every day, to come back and demonstrate what they taught here in the school. So just a little tidbit. So.
And there is an evaluation system too. So if somebody's not doing their job, they're going to be evaluated. And we're no longer in a position where we're going to keep employees just because you're related to somebody. If you're not doing the job that that you were hired to do, I expect that we're going to get a recommendation at some point from the superintendent saying this person unfortunately is going to have to be terminated. So we'll put that out there. We want everybody to understand we are genuinely trying to hire, like Ray said, the best and the brightest. So I think that's enough on that subject. We're going to move on to item 6, superintendent's recommendations and presentation for personnel and programs. And we do have 2 items in this section that we need to vote on. Before we get to those items, though, it was, 6.5 and 6.8. Yeah, so those 2 items we will be voting on. But before we vote on those 2 items, I would just like to see if anyone has any questions or comments about the donations that we received. One of them is a donation that I received. It was a $100 gift card that I won at Capitol Conference. Just wanted to put that out there. I'm donating that gift card to John Dewey for their Dr. Seuss Day. So, yay, John Dewey. And the next yay. So I'm excited. You know, for those of you that don't know, Dr. Seuss Day is a day where we have community members, businesses come in and read to our students, and they do an excellent job of welcoming everybody in and then reading to our students. So I'm excited about that, and I'm excited that I was able to make that donation. So, Mr. Jolly, do you want to talk about 6.4 school hours, 2016, 2017?
Yes, school hours. We made the recommendation to increase instructional time for all scholars. At Eastwood and John Dewey, actually the instructional time is the exact same, but we staggered the time due to busing. What has occurred is that they both start and end at the same time, and one school has to end early in order to get the kids on the bus. So we stagger the time to ensure that we have full instructional time and that our buses can run and get our kids there. On the high school and the middle school, upon looking at the contract, we were short minutes in both. In the high school, per day, we're short 12 minutes per day, and in middle school, 7 minutes. That is based on the current contract, which states the teachers have to work 7 hours and 25 minutes. So we did collaborate with the union, talked to them yesterday about it, and the new schedule is right at 7 hours and 25 minutes, which gives both the middle school and high school the days of 8 to 3 p.m. Since we don't bus our high school students, there's no conflict with busing for middle and high.
Okay, thank you for sharing that information. Any other questions or comments about any other items before we move on to the 2 items that we need to vote on? 6.6 is a literacy cooperative agreement. Do you want to discuss that one as well?
Yes, the literacy, STEP Literacy Intervention Program is where John Carroll has trained 18 of our students to tutor our second graders. So 18 of our high school students go down to John Dewey and tutor our students twice a week in reading intervention.
Okay, all right. So we could very well see one of those 18 students decide to come back and be teachers in the district. So that's exciting. That's good for them. All right, 6.7, whole brain teaching. I think you discussed that last time.
No, Dr. Caper's not here. She can go in more.
Okay, all right. So we'll ask Dr. Caper to give us an explanation next week on that. All right, so I'm going to backtrack. We would like to put a motion out there for 6.5 MOU for Cleveland Clinic Foundation. Can I please have a motion?
Madam Chair, I move that this board accepts superintendent's recommendation and presentations of personal and program 6.50 MOU Cleveland Clinic Foundation.
Thank you. It's been properly moved and second. Do we need to read this MOU?
Well, I can explain. The MOU is an agreement with Cleveland Clinic to provide on-site mobile medical assistance to our students in all 4 schools. They will be on a rotating schedule, so they'll be at the high school one day of the week, then they'll be at the middle school the next day of the week, at no cost to the district at all. So we used to have the medical van here at the high school, which was stationed here. This is just bringing it back, but we've decided to rotate it throughout the district so that each school would get an opportunity to have the service.
Okay.
They would like to start on March 1st, so that's why we want to, I'm asking for the board to approve it.
Okay. Any other questions, comments?
I do, Madam Chair. Mr. Jolly, can you just tell the public what do they do? I mean, I know what they do. I've been in there, but can you just tell them?
So what they do is they have doctors and on the mobile unit, and students can have actual appointments to go see the doctor right there. Also, they do physicals, immunizations, all there on the bus. So this would be a great opportunity for parents that we have on-site medical service.
Thank you.
Very good.
Other districts have it. I know Cleveland Heights, Euclid, and a lot of school districts, as they build their new schools, they're actually building these clinics inside of the schools. So it's a great opportunity for us.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Okay, hearing none, Mr. Gamble, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Freeman,
Yes.
Ms. Mitchell,
Yes.
Mrs. Muman,
Yes.
Mrs. Elba,
Yes.
and Mrs. Gator.
Yes, motion passed 5-0. Going to move on to 6.8. We have a field trip for Project Flint Water Drive. I'd like to request someone to please make a motion to accept this.
Madam Chair, I move that this board accept 6.8 field trip Project Flint Water Drive.
A second.
Thank you. It's been properly moved in second. Mr. Jolly, you want to tell everybody? I know that they probably know, but it's not going to hurt to tell them again.
Yeah, so tomorrow we'll be taking over 280 cases to Flint, Michigan. We did address the Flint Community School District. They shared with us that they had too much water, that they wouldn't accept any water. So they referred us to this church, which is St. John Christian Church, which serves students that attend Flint Community Schools. So tomorrow we will have 9 students attend, along with me, Councilman Mitchell, and a teacher from the high school. We'll drive down, deliver the water, and then we'll be coming back. This is a great opportunity. All the students volunteered to go. We had a superintendent's council that will be part of that, but we also have some high school students that just volunteered, that wanted to be part of it, that will be accompanying us there. We have field trip slips, so all the parents have approved them coming. So, and I'll be responsible for them.
Okay, all right, great. Any other questions or comments about the field trip that our students will be going on? All right, hearing none, Mr. Gamble, please call the roll.
Mr. Freeman,
Yes.
Ms. Mitchell,
Yes.
Mrs. Muman,
Yes.
Mrs. Elba,
Yes.
and Mrs. Gator.
Yes, motion passed, 5-0. So we're going to go on to unfinished business committee reports. Budget and Finance is Tracy Mitchell and myself. We have not met yet. We were going to have the audit that Mr. Gamble was speaking of earlier to be one of the first meetings that we incorporated. So we're waiting on the letter, correct?
Right, which we should have soon.
Yeah, so once we get the letter, then we'll schedule a Budget and Finance meeting, and we'll hopefully have something to report, probably by the first, maybe second meeting in March, though.
All members will receive a copy of the audit and the management letter.
Right, right, okay, all right, and we will send out a notice for this one. We send out a notice for the Budget and Finance.
We will.
Yes, okay. All right, anyone else have any reports for their committees?
Madam Chair, I do, on behalf of myself and Ms. Newman. We've been meeting with Ms. Danielle Smiley, beginning pre-planning for the community engagement team, and we've developed a letter for outreach to the community that will include both residents and businesses in our area. And so, Mr. Jolly, we did send a letter to you to take a look at your leisure. Our goal is to get the letters out to a select group of individuals. We want to include both children from our middle school, retired teachers, current teachers, business owners, and then obviously community members to participate with us, so that we can build a good outreach program and an in-reach program back into the schools and really begin to bring the community back into the schools and our activities. So the goal is to send the letters out in March, acquire contacts, our names and what have you, and then have our first meeting the second Tuesday in April.
Okay. All right. So have you had a chance to look at their
Yeah, I
letter?
got it today, so.
Okay,
yeah.
all right. All right, so if you have any questions or concerns with the letter, just reach out to the committee members, and you guys can have a discussion about that. All right, Policy Committee. Mr. Jolly, your team is reviewing the revisions for the policies?
Yeah, we just received 2 revisions, so we'll be reviewing them on Wednesday.
Oh,
next
it was
week.
only 2 this time?
It was only 2.
Okay, all right. Would you please forward to the board members, or maybe ask Sue to forward to the board members those 2 revisions? We can go ahead and, at least start familiarizing ourselves with what those 2 updates are. Typically, we'll get updates that can have anywhere from 10 to 20 policies that are being revised that we have to look at, so this is good.
Get 'em out.
All right, thank you. Eastwood Garden, anything going on with that?
Madam Chair, we haven't met yet. I have to sit down with Councilwoman Andrea Mitchell and the principal, Stephanie Eford, and see when we're going to resume those talks. We haven't talked in about 3 months, so.
Okay, all right. So any other committee reports under unfinished business?
I do have one for facilities. I met with the facilities, me and Mr. Jolly and some of the stakeholders in the Tri-City area, going over options if we choose to go in the direction of new buildings. So that'll be coming out soon. There are some options for all the Tri-City. Mr. Jolly, did you want to expand on that?
Yes, we're requesting a special board meeting to review the recommendation from the transition team to review the findings from the Ohio Facilities Commission. We did receive the findings 2 weeks ago. Part of our pledge with the transition team that we would take the findings from the OFCC, we will vet them through the transition team, and then they'll make a recommendation to the board. We have that recommendation, and we would like to have a special board meeting to present it to the public and to the board what our options are moving forward.
And if I could just expand, if I'm not mistaken, the expectation at that meeting is to actually ask the community members to take a look at the different plans and give us their feedback. So this will be a more interactive type meeting where we're going to be asking you, please help us, which of these plans do you think is better? So we're working on a date, which is probably the next order of business for us. because we've been kind of struggling with basketball and all kinds of different things going on as to when we can schedule this meeting,
I
so.
do want to say there is urgency in this. We have some real strict deadlines in order for us to meet the deadlines and secure our place with the state. There, and I could just explain to the community, there's a pot of money that the state has that is drying up. Warrensville has been in line for the money for over 10 years, and Warrensville has passed it up. Well, we're at the point now where we either do it or we lose our place. So we do have some strict deadlines that we have to meet. And once we meet the deadlines, we're not saying that we're doing it, but we at least secure our spot. And if we secure our spot and we don't do it, at least the money would be designated for us if we decide to use it or not. So we do have some strict deadlines in order to meet some goals, and we would like to just share with the public exactly what our options are before we make the recommendations.
Okay. I'd like to know if the board members would mind maybe taking a look at their calendars, and let's see if we can come up with a date that will work for everybody. If you recall, we were initially hoping to do something on the 17th of February, but as it turns out, that is senior night. Was there any opportunity for us to do any, Monday, there's no, well, we can't do Monday anyway, we don't have enough time. 16th or the, no, can't do the 19th. 19th is the last home game. So we could do the 16th or the 20th, that's a Saturday, for that week. Now, if that week does not work for anybody, I believe we might need to push it out because you're traveling the week after, correct? So, if we look at the week of March 1st, which would be the last week that we really need to try and get something in, is there a date that works for everybody? I'm open, I'll make myself open. First, second, third,
I'm open the first and the second.
that's a Tuesday and a Wednesday. March, do you have a preference?
Whatever the majority,
Okay,
because I'm open.
and I'm open too.
I'm open.
Okay. So member Elba, do you have a preference? Will either of those days work for you?
The second or the fourth. If we do the second, it can't be till at least 6:30. I can't do anything before 6:30.
I think that's fine. When the transition committee met the other day, it took almost 2 hours, but we can try to condense it. So I'm hoping we can have community members come out to take a look at the different plans and give us your feedback. So we'll set it for Wednesday, March 2nd.
6:30.
Coach Swift. Basketball that day? Maybe. Okay, so I'll put it out there now. We can leave the meeting on the 2nd, but if by chance there's basketball, I won't be at the meeting, but I'll ask you guys to still go ahead and have the meeting, and we'll have Member Freeman to step in and run the meeting. Okay, so we'll go with March 2nd. Is 6:30 good? Do you want to do 7?
No, 6:30.
Okay, 6:30.
And location?
We can do the auditorium. Are we expecting a lot of people?
I guess it depends on how many people come. I don't know.
Say the auditorium.
Say the auditorium, and if it ends up that we've got just a handful of people, we can move it here. I think our community is flexible, so just plan on coming to the high school. But we will put a notice out. So again, that's March 2nd, 6:30.
It'll be the high school auditorium.
Yeah, say the high school auditorium. All right, thank you, everybody. I don't have anything for new business. Does anyone? I didn't get any emails.
Business. Did you guys want to share what you learned at your training, and do you have any information, some flyers?
Oh, thank you. No, I don't have any flyers with me. I didn't bring any flyers, but it was an excellent training session. So Member Freeman and I went to board officers training. Yeah, I like these training sessions because everybody kind of opens up and you know, you feel like you're the only one that has, you know, some of the different issues that are going on amongst staff and board members, but we're not. So a lot of districts are experiencing the same concerns. Trying to think, what was the highlight for you? You start, and then I'll spin off of you.
The highlight for me was talking to the Ohio School Board Association Legal Counsel and some of the do's and don'ts as a board members and some of the do's and don'ts as an officer, and what we should do, what we should expect, how to be collectively and cohesive as a board to move the district forward. So I got a lot out of it, and I talked to a lot of people, and they got other challenges that we don't have. So I'm blessed that we don't have some of the challenges that other people. But I got out just being a cohesive board.
And that's important. And again, a lot of the same stuff that you probably learned when you went to the new school board member training is the same thing that they were telling us. Like Ray said, the legal part is where everybody gets kind of hung up on. They want to make sure that they're doing things legally right. You know, and a lot of times you'll have members say, you know, you can't do it that way. But then they reference you to what they tell you is if it's not in your policy, if it's not in your ORC, or not in your collective bargaining book, then it might be something that we need to address as a district. But you always refer to those 3 areas first. So I believe our next training session is going to be, at least for the board as a whole, is going to be in April. That's the national training session, and that one is in Boston. And then I believe there's going to be another leadership academy for board members in May that Ray and I will be attending as well. So usually get some good information out of the training sessions. All right, thank you. So again, I don't have anything under new business. Any correspondence? Yep, no, I haven't received anything either. Mr. Jolly made all his announcements. A lot of good things going on in the district. We will continue to stream our meetings live. So if you have any feedback or on that, we would love to hear it. Upcoming school board meetings. Our next meeting is February 25th. That's our regular meeting. It will be a meeting where we're conducting voting. I believe we will have our student ambassadors at that meeting.
Yes.
So that's always good, and that's when we'll do our student and staff recognitions. Next informational meeting then will be in March 10th. And again, all meetings will be held at the high school in room 154. So before we go into executive session, I just again want to say that I want to thank everybody for coming out. Your continued support, unwavering support, means a lot to us. We can't do what we need to do, which is encourage Mr. Jolly, Mr. Gamble, and their staff to continue to move this district forward. So please keep coming to our meetings. This is encouraging to see so many people coming to the meetings. And again, reach out to us, emails, whatever. Reach out to Mr. Jolly and let us know what do you see, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. We want to hear from you.
I have
Okay.
a question, Mr. Jolly. 8th graders, when and where do they participate? There seems to be a discrepancy. 8th graders at the high school, but they can't participate in high school activities, but they're considered middle school, but they can participate in the middle school activities. So they're in limbo. So when and where?
Ms. McDowell, can you help me with that question about what you're doing with the 8th graders? Or
Okay, the 8th graders, they do participate in middle school.
No, not the sports, I'm just talking the activities. I had a few parents call me yesterday because they have these middle school activities that they can't participate because they're at the high school, but then they can't participate in the high school activities because they're considered middle schoolers.
I think it's more of a communication gap. And so, we've been going to the PTO meetings, talking to PTO to make sure that they enclose our eighth graders that are housed in the high school, to make sure we enclose them. And as a result of that, we actually had a dance choir because of that communication. So I think it's more of a communication gap. We need to get all the necessary people at the table to make sure that that doesn't happen. So it's not like we're trying to exclude them. It's just that the people that are at the table, the right people, we just all need to talk and make sure that we make that happen for our players. And Rudolph, you wanted to add something?
Some of our extracurricular activities outside of athletics, our eighth graders are part of, like the hip hop dance team. We do have eighth graders doing that as well. The play that we had in the fall, not only do we have the eighth graders, but we also have the students from the middle school as well. So the eighth graders are encouraged, but you also have to remember that the age difference, sometimes they do get a little intimidated because they are participating with older students. So sometimes they may not be as apt to participate because they know that they are the youngest students. But they are encouraged and they are allowed to participate in activities.
So that'll be a topic on our principal meeting on Wednesday. That's something we'll resolve.
And, you know, I'm, maybe the parents did do that, but encourage them to reach out to the principals and get clarification on that. You know,
That is
we're
one
not
reason-
able to answer.
But that is one reason we want to put the eighth graders back at the middle school, because developmentally, they're not ready for the high school. They're not ready. They run around the school. They're just not ready. So we're gonna put them back at the middle school, and we'll have a full functioning middle school where they'll be able to participate in all the activities. I wasn't aware that they weren't actively participating in all the activities here. I knew they couldn't go to homecoming and things like that. But that's something that we can shore up for the end of the year, and moving forward, we'll be moving them back to the middle school, and then they can have the entire middle school experience.
All right, thank you. So, at this time, the Board of Education does need to go into executive session, so may I please have a motion?
Madam Chair, I move that this board move and adjourn into executive session.
Second.
You have to
Oh,
read
hold on. Yeah,
you have to read that,
Oh,
you
no.
have to say why you're going into.
1 second, Cal.
I think it's 6. It's 6.
Ready for that? Go ahead and do number
6.
1.
Oh, okay.
Do number 1 and do number 6.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that this board move to adjourn into executive session for number 1, to consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee or official or regulated individual, students, or the investigation of charges or complaints against a public employee or regulated individual. And 6, to discuss with legal counsel matters required to be kept confidential and subject to attorney-client privilege.
Can someone please second?
I second.
Thank you. It's been properly moved and second. Again, I want to thank everybody for coming out. We will be going into
need a-
executive session. There will be, oh, I'm sorry, need a vote. Go ahead. I always do that.
Mr. Freeman,
Yes.
Ms. Mitchell,
Yes.
Mrs. Muman,
Yes.
Mrs. Elba,
Yes.
and Mrs. Gator.
Yes, motion passed 5-0. There will be no voting when we come out. We will be adjourning.
Thank everybody for coming.
Thank everybody for coming out.